standing by.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Tokusatsu Now, the podcast designed to not only help onboard newcomers into the big, beautiful world of Tokusatsu. It's a big, beautiful world, but also for longtime fans to get a deep dive on a genre they love. My name is Tom Caswell, and today I'm joined by a couple of guests. Of course, firstly, we have Eric Francisco. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thanks again for hosting us. And man,
of course,
you know, the world feels bad right now, but the world of Tokusatsu feels really good. So.
Yeah. Just enjoy your entertainment. Don't worry about the troubles of the world. It'll be fine, I'm sure. Unfortunately, Asa is not feeling too well this week, so Asa is not with us. But we do have Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's good that you found the right. Unfortunately, Asa is not with us. You are prematurely calling for the death of yet another person.
I know, what's wrong with me? First Margaret Loesch, now Asa.
No, everything is great, and it's actually pretty exciting on the Toku front because once Super Sentai gets some sort of actual live, we'll have the big three in Toku like actually airing on YouTube, at least reasonably close to when they air and and it's been great so far. We're going to talk about the first two episodes of Kamen Rider Zeztz, but actually having the whole community on the same page is fun because basically on Saturday evening the Reddit lights up and people start conversing.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I didn't catch this week's episode as the live stream started. I actually watched it right before we jumped on. But it's just so cool to like see. Yeah, there's a synchronized space of time that we can all engage with, and it's something we did talk about the last time we talked about that, because what ended up happening is we did record a conversation around the premiere of Zeztz, but I just moved. If you can't tell, my whole setup is so temporary right now. So it was a temporary setup, and I relied on the software's built-in recording tech, and it's just not there. And so unfortunately we lost the episode, but something we did mention last week is the fact that it really does feel it does feel like an adult version of a Saturday morning rock block, especially because it happens at night when our dreams are happening. So we're gonna get right into it. Kamen Rider Zeztz has aired its first two episodes on the previous episode. And by the way, thank you everyone for checking out the previous episode. Lots of traction on our little shorts breakout that we did, talking about why Power Rangers was this untenable production that you could never ever do again. So thank you if you're joining us from that episode, as a bunch of people probably are. Kamen Rider Zeztz is the latest installment of Kamen Rider. If you're familiar with Power Rangers, you might be familiar with Masked Rider from the 90s, or maybe even Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, a show that I'm sure we will dedicate an episode to as well, which is, it is the other half of Super Sentai, which is, the superhero time rock block that they do in Japan, is Super Sentai leading into Kamen Rider, with Power Rangers being the adaptation, obviously, of Super Sentai. And they have brought Zeztz to the West, kind of pretty much airing simulcast the same day as it does in Japan. And now we know how that works. So basically, Tokusatsu on its YouTube and its Twitch, right? Can you catch it on Twitch?
I believe so. Yes.
I don't.
I don't think it's on the
hate that video
other
player.
platforms.
Yeah.
Like Shout has a Tubi. It may have a Pluto.
It
I
has
forget.
a Pluto, yeah. It's on all of those free, like, cable, like weird.
Actually, correction. I think the Tokusatsu Pluto channel went defunct about a year ago or so.
Maybe
Yeah.
they have an exclusive.
Yeah, I think
they migrated
they're
almost
just on
entirely
Tubi.
to Twitch and YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to get someone from Tokusatsu on the pod because I would love to talk about as much as they can the whole deal with bringing Zeztz to America, but also it would be just interesting to hear about like how
Shout
like,
Studios, if you're
model
watching
is.
this, we'd love to have you guys.
Yeah. We'll definitely get someone, but we'll get the janitor to come in and talk about it.
That's fine. He's probably got all the secrets.
Yeah, he's in all the meetings, and he hasn't had to sign an NDA. You know, he's just overheard stuff. Anyway, so yeah, go ahead, Mike.
It's not a VOD. So basically, it airs. When they originally announced it, they were like, "Oh, it's going to air, and then maybe it's going to run a couple of times, and then you'll have to wait till next week." Before the next episode will air it again as a sort of encore. And folks were unhappy with that. Surabaya has spoiled us with Ultraman. Ultraman just goes up. And once it's up, it's there on YouTube. You can go find it and watch the episodes whenever you feel like it. So instead, Shout found a middle ground. I assume that there's probably some sort of weird rights thing that prevents them from actually having a VOD. So they just air it constantly for like 5 days, something like that, for a very long time.
Yeah.
If you go to the Tokusatsu channel as we're recording this, which is on a Sunday, it's still running and it'll just keep running in a loop.
It's not the most convenient way to enjoy the media, but honestly, it's as far as this community is concerned, we're getting spoiled because we used to never be. We used to have to find, let's just say, less than legal ways in order to enjoy this media.
Right.
The fact that it's just coming to us for free over YouTube,
and you can pause it.
Yeah, you could pause it and you could rewind and yeah, so you basically get an entire weekend to watch at your own leisure. I say personally that we're being very spoiled.
It's also clearly something where it's like it's evolving because what I appreciated this week is they put in 30-second breaks between episodes. So when an episode ended, a kind of splash card came up and it had a countdown timer until the next one. And that countdown was like 30 seconds. And whereas last week, as we mentioned in the Forgotten episode, it just rolled right into episode 1. So if you did want to rewind, it was hard to find, like, where do we start? Whereas now you can see, like, if you're rewinding, oh, the splash screen, cool. That's the 30-second break between each airing. And it's funny, Mike, because as you mentioned, it's running all week, whereas officially they stated that the change was they were going to have it run through the weekend, kind of on loop, and then have replays during the week. But as far as I can tell, like last week, it kept popping up on my home feed that they were playing the episode. So I just wonder if, like, not only like are they seeing obviously a ton of engagement with it, as you would probably imagine they are, but it's something that is up in the air. And even though clearly they can't just like put a VOD up, they have a lot of flexibility on how to do the live stream. So I'm sure that even episode by episode, the way that it's given to us and how it's watched and all of this is going to be different. And, you know, maybe they'll get to a point where they can just do a VOD, but let's get someone from Shout Factory on the horn and get the actual details. I want to see the contract you made with Toei.
If I may, there's a fun reverse effect where I look forward to Saturdays at 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
because that just means I get to watch something with knowing that other fans are watching along, even if I don't say anything in the chat.
Yeah.
But like the comfort knowing that, oh, if I do miss the 10:30, I could catch this literally whenever I want for the next week. But I still look forward to just being there at 10:30. It's nice, the return of appointment viewing. As a professional television and movie journalist, like I cannot stress how great it is to have something where we make an appointment to watch something again. It feels good. I miss it. I miss the HBO Sundays, but it's good that Kamen Rider is bringing that feeling back.
Yeah, and like I said, as soon as the episode ends, you can jump onto the subreddit and just start chatting. Like people are there and ready to go and talk through stuff. Like it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's great, right? For people who are new to Kamen Rider and this whole medium, is that they not only is it this appointment viewing, but now they know that everyone else is seeing it at the same time, and so there are communities that you can go find that are incredibly active around the launch, and that's part of the beauty of Tokusatsu. I found is just like any of these kind of niche subgenres of different mediums, like the community is just as important as the show. I probably wouldn't have. I mean, I know for a fact that I wouldn't have kept up with Tokusatsu as much if it was simply just me trying to find the show. It was the whole community on Ranger Board on all these different platforms, and so yeah, totally. If you're finding enjoyment in Zeztz and you want to kind of be as crazy about Tokusatsu as we are, definitely jump into the communities around the launch of these episodes. So speaking of, we've gotten the first 2 episodes of Kamen Rider Zeztz now. Lots of new information too about how all of this works, because it's quite high concept, what's going on. And so Eric, top level thoughts. Now we've got 2 episodes, top level across both of them. What are you feeling?
Sure thing. So, as I mentioned in this lost episode that we're alluding to, in last week, I mentioned that I wasn't really feeling Kamen Rider Zeztz from the beginning, from the jump. They did not properly introduce. They did introduce the character, our main character, and what they want, and we got a sense of what was going on in the world. However, I just felt like it didn't go far enough. I still didn't understand wants and needs, and just having a proper understanding of the character, other than he wants to help people, and he has this nighttime fantasy of being a spy. Cool. Maybe that's enough, but maybe I'm also looking for more. And I also had quibbles here about like what the premise is as far as like how the Kamen Rider powers work and what it's doing. It had this whole idea that I think is very cool about diving into people's nightmares and dreams and fighting the monsters there. Very cool. But we still had a very vague idea of how it all worked. Here now in episode 2, we're getting somewhat of a better idea, but I still think my feelings from episode 1 still remain. I still feel like the show's taking one long breath to inhale before exhaling and really telling us what's going on here. I'm getting context clues, and I'm picking up what they're putting down, but I just felt like the pacing could be a little bit better. I do think they could just do some character stuff better. I still don't. I'm still struggling to keep in mind the main character's name. I believe it was it Asa who someone mentioned last week that there was this suggestion that one of the characters might not be corporeal, or might not be physical.
It was me, and it was the shot at the end of episode 1 when the 2 cops were speaking outside the hotel, outside of the hospital room, and the villain Knox comes walking by, and then when we go back to the shot, the female cop is missing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is she corporeal? Like, what's happening here?
So, I hope I don't ruin your vibe. You can, and please elaborate soon. But ever since you mentioned it, it's been so distracting. I'm just exclusively paying attention if she is noticed by anyone else. And this episode, gave me some evidence that maybe she is just a normal person.
Yep.
However, I'm still not convinced. I think they're actually leaving a little bit of room here for a Mr. Robot type of twist. Anyway, Zeztz has been fun. I don't love it right now. It's been fun to watch, and anytime he transforms has been great. But I have other issues in terms of the storytelling and the pacing and everything else. And the last thing I'll say is that I think it's a mistake for them to have some of the most important exposition of any given episode running over the credits. I think that's a poor choice. That's a very distracting choice. But that's just where I'm currently at right now. I want my opinion to change over time and very soon. However, Zeztz so far is not my favorite Kamen Rider that I've been watching.
Nausicaa is the detective, the female detective that you guys are referring to, who also was in Kamen Rider Zeztz, the showrunner of Zetz's previous Kamen Rider season. Interesting. I forgot that we mentioned that last week, but now I'm thinking back to this episode, and I'm like, there was a lot of like interaction with her and the cop. Yeah, it's very much on the still very possible that maybe she isn't a real character, or maybe she only exists in dreams or something. Obviously, as well, Tetsuya, the male detective who's very much in on the whole paranormal stuff, he is the kind of focus of this episode because it's in episode 2, it's his nightmare that we're in. And Eric, it's funny you mentioned about the credits because we also didn't get an opening credits this week either. And
what is the theme song?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I assume next week maybe we will get an opening credits. Usually they skip the first week and like they have the closing credits, play over the episode, and then traditionally for most episodes you get an opening and a closing credits that are not part of the episode, but we haven't had that yet. Curious as, again, if that's an adjustment they made for Western audiences and we're going to continue to not actually have an opening, which would feel very bizarre because I feel like so much of these shows is about the opening visuals, the opening theme, and all of that.
And not for nothing. Back in an older time of this fandom, when it was much harder to access this media, sometimes all you had was just the theme song to enjoy. You had the opening intros because they would strike down the episodes as people uploaded them on YouTube, but they would leave the intros up. So like all you had was just to enjoy was just the intro sometimes.
Totally.
So very questionable choice if they're actually doing away with the intros to appeal to Western audiences. I don't know, man. Like for me, maybe I'm just old, but it's like half the reason why I like this stuff is because the theme song rocks.
I'm sure we will get one. It is just interesting, and it does call into question whether we will. I think because of the new format. But we'll have to wait and see that. Mike, your thoughts? First 2 episodes of Kamen Rider Zeztz.
So the first one was definitely we're trying to show you why this character is cool. Like it was all about, as the kids say, or farming. Like there is some explanation of what is going on, but we haven't really dived into what the deal is. And part of that is because the way Zeztz works, once again, as we said, he dives into dreams to combat nightmares. The first episode was his dream. And so he had the most control. And that, when we get to episode 2, that sort of carries over. Baku still looks super cool. Like he's like, oh, I'm agent number 7. I'm going to henshin. I'm going to look cool. But at the beginning of this one, that sort of broke down. Showing that when he is in other people's dreams, he does not have as much control, and that the secret agent breaks down a little bit. There's a scene in the beginning of episode 2 where he sort of closes the walls in on the villain, similar to how he sort of rippled the ground at the end of the first episode. and then the villain reverses it.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Because it is not entirely his dream.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. So I think part of, and it feels like we're going back to the double era. Part of each first half of a two-parter will be figuring out who's having the dream and what their real deal is. And then the second half will probably be a little bit more introspective on that person. And then once he helps that person,
Right.
I would expect that he'll probably be able to gain full control of that dream with the help of the person once he has walked through whatever their
the mind door that they were setting
yeah,
up, right?
whatever
Like
trauma they have,
labyrinthine.
whatever is leading to their nightmare,
Mm.
he'll be able to then gain full control as he did at the end of his own episode. Like I said, Double was probably the first one that really had very hard episode two-parters. So every episode were in two-parters. Like you would get the first episode, then the second episode would sort of finish off the plot. And we did that for a little while, and then we sort of dropped it. And perhaps that's coming back, or maybe that's just for episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, it'll be in. I always appreciate when they, you know, like going back to Geats, like they had legitimate arcs, which is not necessarily like that. The episodes were titled like the name of the arc, chapter whatever, and then like the episode title. And that was something that I had never seen before in Kamen Rider. Maybe they've done it in a season I'm not familiar with. But yeah, the way they structure the seasons, how they choose to, again, in Geats, like you henchmen, right? Like the bad guy henchmen are the predominant things that they were fighting. And sometimes you would get like a big bad of the week. But henchmen usually not a feature of a Kamen Rider. You usually just have the one, like in Zeztz, we have the nightmares. And so they're always, I think like the showrunners are always trying to find new ways to kind of shake up the formula. And I'm curious as to, if we do return to something like what we saw in Kamen Rider Double with these double episodes here, and it would make sense, right? Like it's not only you've got to fight the nightmare, but as they set up at the end, which I thought was very interesting, is like, the reason they're having this nightmare is deep down, subconsciously, they feel like this is a manifestation of maybe their darkest desires. And I thought that was super interesting. Setting up, is it Tetsuya? Tetsuya's character as like his whole dream was to be a cop, but he wants to blow up the police department, like, especially in 2025. Very interesting commentary. And I mean, you can kind of assume where we're going with this narrative. You know, maybe like being a cop wasn't everything it cracked up to be. He's living in the van that also doubles as his office. Like,
no one believes him, maybe. Like,
exactly.
He does feel like literally the back room. Like, weird callback, but like this reminds me of the X-Files in the beginning of the first episode of the X-Files, when I get the names mixed up all the time because I'm not a huge X-Files head, but David Duchovny's character was like the one guy in the basement, and then what's her name comes down being like, what am I doing here, like who are you? And I got those vibes from this episode.
They are 1000% meant to be Mulder and Scully.
I agree, because she acknowledges like, is this a demotion? And then like towards the end of the episode, she's like, oh God, I've been demoted.
Which is like how X-Files is set up too. And that's the thing for me personally, is that this episode did continue, yes, some of the same, I think, pros and cons, I think, of episode 1. That being said, as someone that is a longtime Kamen Rider fan, what I love about the show is because it lasts for 50 odd episodes, they do slow roll the logistics of how everything is happening. And I'm always so curious about what is the next bit of information we're going to learn about how these mechanics work. Again, there are so many seasons of Kamen Rider, but Zeztz is such a good example because Zeztz also had the Desire Grand Prix. You're competing in this battle royale, and the winner gets to remake the world in their image. Pretty simple premise. What the Desire Grand Prix was, how it works, how the mechanics of making it to the different stages, all of that. You learned little bits of new information week to week. And as a first-time viewer, I can totally see that is very different than maybe the way that Western TV is formatted, but it is pretty typical, I would say, of a Kamen Rider season. And in my opinion, it is personally something that I enjoy. I like the fact that I'm a little bit like, all right, so the nightmares are invading people's dreams, and they're a manifestation of their deepest desire. And what I also love the references, like those are really speaking to me. I mentioned this in our last episode, but we got some Matrix stuff in episode 1. This episode, we got a little bit of Get Out, the Jordan Peele film, of like how they're mentally locked away. And if you can't stop the nightmare takes over their body. And then in theory, like they would in real life bomb the police department, and you've got to stop the nightmare before it can get to that point. So that kind of body mental horror of someone's consciousness trapped in away in a part of their body, like unable to escape. I'm curious as to, there is this mind labyrinth. Maybe it'll be like Inception, right? And you've got to like puzzle your way to find the person to do the thing. Really curious as to how they set that up. I loved in episode 2 that we got more motorcycle stuff in this second episode than we get in some entire seasons. And actually, I don't know if Eve the review know this, but it was brought to my attention because of the YouTube short that I put out. Someone brought up the fact that the reason we don't get a lot of motorcycle stuff is because around the early 2010s, Japan instituted new road safety laws that meant that you cannot drive a modified motorcycle on public roads. And so they have to find private roadways in order to do some of the rider stuff. And that's why we just get so much less of it. And in fact, people theorize that the reason Kamen Rider Drive was a car, because that was like, the rider's vehicle is a car this time versus a motorcycle, though, we know Kamen Rider Black RX had a car as well. But people surmise that maybe the whole reason they switched to cars is so they could take a year to figure out what they were going to do with motorcycles. And it turns out they decided to do nothing with them, because for so long we've had very few motorcycle stuff. People also theorizing that maybe the reason Zetz's motorcycle is so not ostentatious, right, compared to some of these overly designed rider things, is because they have to limit the amount of modifications they've made in order to make it like street legal. So I had never heard of this. Were either of you familiar with this at all?
No, I personally, I was not familiar. My question would be to everyone would be like, well, isn't filming exempt because you're not doing this for public transport? You're doing this for a production, and it's rehearsed and it's staged and things like that. But I don't know. I really know nothing beyond that. I know as much as anyone else does, but it does seem to be. It's so fascinating that law exists, and Kamen Rider was directly affected by it. Who knew that? Hey, politics does affect the media that you watch.
One of the comments I'm reading right now says it's likely due to concerns about property damage. If you close a road for shooting and you bring a modified vehicle in, what happens if that vehicle fails, runs off the road, and smashes into a local business? So people don't know the actual like laws for sure, but it might be like again, the whole reason that these shows work is because they shoot them on a shoestring budget. If they end up causing, it might be a risk that Toei doesn't want to personally take on as well.
But the interesting balance to this is that if this is the Kamen Rider that they're trying to show to American audiences for the first time, it feels, again, I go back to this idea that in a lot of ways Zeztz is a back to basics, premise stuff aside, like story stuff aside. This is a back to basics. The Kamen Rider Zeztz looks like a modern reboot of Kamen Rider 1, and the fact that his motorcycle also looks very traditional and stripped down and simplified and not so modified, I think that speaks to the show's spirit and ethos of being, well, we are introducing this media to a whole a continent and continents of people who've never really seen this before.
Mhm.
So why not, try to do a back to basics kind of thing, go back to our own essence of what makes us special, i.e. a superhero who is kind of bug themed and fights monsters on a cool motorcycle. Like that's all Kamen Rider really needs to do at the end of the day. And I think it's so great that Zeztz is kind of adhering to this spirit of a unofficial Kamen Rider 1 reboot. Just because by virtue of it, you're trying to introduce, this is the thing you're introducing to your anime friends too, who've never seen
Mhm.
Kamen Rider before. So I think it's an interesting advantage to that law.
And I thought that the choreography too,
Yeah.
the chase was so good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
And I've heard of that apocryphally. My thought generally is the reason they do it less is probably twofold. One, like
It's
if you
harder to
watch
shoot.
Kamen Rider, if you watch Kamen Rider over the whole of it, back in the day, they were having these suit actors do things that not just the suit actors, the actors also do stuff that was just nonsense. Like if you go back to like some of the original like Showa Kamen Riders, like they're just putting a dude in a suit on top of a very tall thing, probably with no harness. They're like, good luck.
Yeah.
Do not fall
Yeah.
because that will hurt us in shooting.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bike stuff is literally just, like riding in a quarry. Do not swerve because you will hit the explosives that we have placed in the ground in your path. Good luck. And even when you get up to like Kuga, like one of the big things that people liked about Kuga's specific bike had a lot of like it was almost a dirt bike. So there were a lot of scenes where Kuga's just riding the bike around. Like there's one where he's riding it around like an abandoned building when it actually would be easier for him to just get off the bike and go fight the guy.
No, he's Kamen Rider, not Kamen Walker.
I was going to bring that up actually because the bike's choreography of this episode in Zeztz episode 2 was so good. It reminded me of Kuga episode 2 because that bike scene goes viral on Twitter sometimes because people are just like, "What the hell is this?" And it's literally the guy Kuga riding his bike through the warehouse, and instead of taking the stairs, he's using his bike, and it's
to go up the stairs.
It's a standout fight scene because it is just absurd but so well done that you can't hate it. And again, I feel like if you're trying to reborn this franchise for a new audience, you cement this idea of what he is. He is a guy in a bug monster who fights he's a guy in a bug costume who fights monsters on a bike. And Kuga did it very well in episode 2, and I feel like Zeztz did it very well in episode 2. So they're really trying to go for this whole idea of rebirth for the franchise.
Yeah, and I assume we'll not see probably as much as Kuga. My guess is it's not just road laws. It's bike type. Luckily, we're back to a lighter looking bike, but also like you can do some of the nice tricks with more of a dirt bike like Kuga style, as opposed to say Decade has a touring motorcycle, which is just a big heavy boat of a thing.
Yeah.
You're not doing a lot of stuff with that. So we're closer to something, but they did some interesting choreography. Like there's a shot where the stunt actor is on the seat, like standing on the seat of the bike
after jumping back onto it, right? Like
it
was the thing of like he jumped to the bomb truck and then something happened to cook and he flips back on and he lands
Yes, and he was
It's
hanging.
so cool.
He was hanging off the truck,
Yeah.
which was real. Like you could tell. Like you can tell when the shot's real. They really had this guy hanging off a truck and then tearing a door off. Of course, the door is probably meant to break away. Then they do special effects switch shot to the bike, but he was clearly like the bike is running and he is sitting on the seat.
Yeah.
So
Or
they're
crouching
doing
on the
some
seat,
interesting stuff here. Will it carry through to a lot? Probably not, because if I had to guess, this was a fairly expensive, like just in terms of making sure everything was safe.
Mhm.
They knock over, like they run into one car, they turn over an entire truck. Like when that truck slides, like hits the thing and slides, that
Crashes into the other
what
one. Yeah.
is a real truck. Like
Yeah.
you can see it. Like nope, they had a truck just slide. So I hope they use it sparingly enough, but keep it alive. Uh, as opposed to sometimes a lot of the stuff, like I think some of the CG for the dream stuff will probably taper off just a little bit. Like they got to
Mhm.
keep it going, but not as much. They'll save it for the real key scenes or
Yeah.
key fights. Um, I think the bike will probably be like that just because of cost and safety stuff, but we'll see. I agree uh, with Eric that Kamen Rider is the karate bug man on a motorcycle, and if you're trying to sell this to the world, uh, you got to show that motorcycle whenever you can,
Yeah.
as opposed to like Gav's rider machine was
A
this
potato chip.
big
What was? I have no
big
idea what it is.
CG thing.
Yeah.
So you could use it, but it doesn't look impressive. You don't really get the feeling of a person actually doing that. So
Yeah.
um,
One of the other thing that I'm like a little, because it is totally normal for them to, and consistent for them to, yeah, we'll show the bike, here it is, here's his bike, he has a motorcycle, guys, and then take it away for the rest of the show. I think that we will hopefully get a bit more, because it has the android humanoid mode, right, where the head of code, the secret agency that he works for, is re- ma- rem- remotely operating, right? He talked about that. I also love the fact that he was like talking in English, and he's like, "Oh, I only know English in my dreams," and he has to switch to Japanese, and then once he starts dreaming, he's talking in English again. But I
That
do
was an
think that,
excellent bit. I thought that was so funny.
yeah, so at least we'll see the bike in humanoid form, and that kind of setting up that he has to ride into the dream on the motorcycle. So we'll at least get him like arriving to the fights on the motorcycle. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Something else I'm is pretty typical is that the first couple of henshins, we get like a big elaborate henshin, and then eventually they'll just like do it off camera. It would be such a shame if they did that for the season, because the henshin is so good. The phantom nature of the character, like as he's changing, he becomes immaterial. We have this cool shot where the monster tries to attack him while he's henshin, and he just phases through and is behind him. And the fact that they focus on the eyes kind of lighting up, and this like vibrant kind of like liquid LED on the, I just cannot get over how good. And you brought it up last week too, Eric, with the suit looks cool. It looks even better in motion. I thought that was true this episode as well. Whatever the designers for the suit must have meticulously picked out the materials for the different elements to it, because it just, I'm just catching so many new details of like how this functions. Did you also notice, this is one of my favorite things from this episode, and once again connecting it to like Western superheroes, did you notice how the neck piece is so thick that he has to turn his head like
No, I never picked
1989
that up.
Batman. There's one time where he turns and it's literally just like the most Michael Keaton Batman turn you've ever seen. And even people in the YouTube comments, you know, I looked at the chat afterwards, someone chatted, they were like, oh, he's got that Batman neck. It was really, really,
I
really
haven't
funny
picked
to
up
watch.
on that yet. Oh my gosh, I need to look closely then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of henshins, we also got a Kamen Rider classic that sort of has gone out of style because the bikes have gone out of style. The riding henshin, which was like back in the day, and it showed up in Shin Kamen Rider and some of the others. Like back in the day, the belt in the first Kamen Rider, the Cyclone, is actually like a wind turbine. So sometimes he would just henshin by riding his bike, and then the wind would go through the belt, and then he would
So
henshin.
cool.
And we got a version of that in this, where he's riding the bike, and then he just did the henshin on the bike to change into Zeztz.
And we got another capsum this week, but it isn't like a form capsum. It seems to just be, this was like he could essentially materialize. He created the spike leg, so it seemed almost like a one-time use kind of thing.
I think he'll use it again. I think that's supposed to be like a decade for non-Kamen Rider fans. Decade was one of the anniversary seasons. He had rider cards, and then he had attack ride cards. And transform is probably, while it's a red capsum, so while he's in Physicam Impact,
yeah,
he can use the transform capsule probably as much as he wants. My question is, and I know they're not going to answer it, it's going to be one of those, just we have other things to worry about. Can he henshin directly into Physicam using the transform capsule? But I doubt we'll ever get to that. I don't think it'll matter.
I wonder if it'll be like an episodic, like a storytelling thing. Like before you go on your next dream mission, here's the one capsule that you're going to need for this mission. I don't know. I'm getting that impression, but that's just, we've just had this one episode so far, or one mission so far. TBD if that'll be the case, and if they keep on doing that for the rest of the season. But I think that'd be a cool storytelling device. Like before you go, before you ride off your motorcycle into whatever dream you're in, here's the capsule that you're going to need to, and this will give you the one advantage you need for this one scenario. Because that's what happened. He got the one capsule, and then that was this transform thing, and then he used it to. It was so cool too, guys. When he had the spike on his legs to topple the car, I would love to see more.
Kicked the
yeah, and it's very James Bond Q. I am a James Bond fan, and as many people have pointed out, it's weird how Q always knows the exact gadgets he needs for each mission, and this is the same. Like you pull the gashapon, and that's actually what those machines are.
Right, they had the actual gachapon machine.
Yeah, those are gachapon machines in Japan, and the capsules look like gachapon capsules. For those who the Pokemon Pokeballs also look like gacha capsules. Right.
I know that's very. I know Japan has those all everywhere and things like that. But it's like, it's funny for me to imagine like a vending machine superhero here in America. Like if we had a Western analog, we would have a Kamen Rider that's like, oh, you get your powers off of a vending machine.
Yeah.
It's just a funny device that, like, of course Japan would do something like that, whereas here in the States it'd be like it'd be a joke. But I don't know. It's just that it's funny to me that's his motif.
Yep, and he gets one, probably, as Tom says, probably get like one each episode. I bet you'll get one more next episode, and then that following episode will probably be the next form, if I had to guess.
Yeah, they usually like pace it out you'll get a new form, and then they'll get a couple of episodes utilizing that, and then of course you need the next toy to come out. Going back to designs and stuff, also, I mentioned it in our last episode, but episode 2 continues with, I just love the monster designs. Like, again, episode 1, you had gun monster, and it looked like a gun, and it also was more indicative of these kind of actual nightmare, right? Like, they're scary designs, and I thought the bomb one also looked fantastic, and that design extended into the actual bomb in the back of the truck. So I love the aesthetic of the monsters, which is, again, playing into this idea of, clearly, if you also notice, obviously, like, the moon in the dreams is also like spherical and looks like a capsum. So yeah, there is that cross pollination of Zetz's powers stemming from the same source of power that the bad guys are getting their whole deal from.
I didn't pick up on that. That's a really interesting allusion. I didn't. That one flew over my head.
Yeah, initially it just looks like a red, like, half moon, but the way that it's moving, you can see it's actually in 3 dimensions. Which, again, we'll learn more and more and more about the logistics of these worlds as the program progresses. Also, something that I thought was interesting, more details that we got was, and they hint toward this, is that we had a conjecture last time about Nem, the actress who is in his dream, but then she's also in this dream as well. And it seems that because of her fame, everyone dreams about her. So I wonder if it's like she also has similar powers to be able to go into other people's dreams, but not because she's a writer, but because of her fame. And like, everyone is just always thinking about this person.
and even the other cop was like, I like how they were both like, yeah, I had Nim in my dreams, and the one cop was like, Nim in my dreams too.
Yeah.
And isn't that like normal for everyone? And then the lady was like, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I about her as well.
They brush over this so quickly, but I thought it was the funniest thing that they've done in this show so far. It's like, oh yeah, the number one hot celebrity in Japan right now, everyone dreams about her, so she's got powers because of that.
Yeah.
So funny. Like, imagine if Sydney Sweeney had dream powers because everyone had dreams about her.
Totally.
It had me cracking up in my. And the thing is, the show just glosses over it. Like, they just go right into it, and that's just how they establish that, like, Nem is going to be an important character in this show. Just like, oh yeah, celebrity, so everyone sees her at night. It's like, it makes
she also, and because she's an actor in the real world, she's an actor in dreams, so she can be anything that she wants. So I loved the little physical comedy between the two of them, with her like taking him in because they think that he is the bomber when it's really the detective.
That still happened to me. That happened so fast in the episode that I was trying to pick up what they were trying to say about her. I was like, oh wait, so she can moonlight so as an actress, so she can do anything. Like, I was trying to follow along what they're trying to say. Now that I get it after I've had some time to sit with it, but I'd like to know what they're actually trying to do with her. Like, what obviously, like, what is their end game when it comes to her? How important is she going to be? Is she going to be? I anticipate, honestly, at this point, that she might be a writer.
Totally.
They've really done a lot of female writers in this franchise for the past, like, in this era, in the Reiwa era. They've had a lot of female writers. So honestly, like, at this point, it just feels like they're setting her up to have powers as well.
I mean, it would make sense, right, that she gets recruited because she has the innate ability to be in other people's dreams. And obviously, like, it was funny because Zero, who is the head of code, there's one line where he alludes to the fact that there are other agents, right? So, like, maybe there are other Kamen Riders already in existence. Super fascinated. I always love learning about, like, or finding out, like, where the other Kamen Riders come from. I do think we will get a more traditional season where it is fewer writers. Like, we'll probably get a couple more, but we won't have like a dozen. We'll have to wait and see.
I do think that Nox appears again at the end of this episode, showing that he has a similar lucid dreaming abilities
Yeah.
to Zeztz. Like he's literally there to stop Zeztz uh, from finishing off. Like he just reaches and grabs his arm and stops him, and then disappears again. Um, I think Knox is probably a former agent. He
Mm.
is a 006.
Mm.
Um,
He
maybe
pulls
the
off a
last
masked
one.
Sean Bean.
Yes, and we'll have a 006 007 Trevelyan Bond sort of rivalry going for a while here, um, because Knox is also the one that is going to, for some reason, other people's dreams and opening their
Mind door.
dream doors,
Yeah.
yeah, the mind doors to let out their nightmares. Why is he doing that? That's one of those things that's not going to go away, and I'm sure we'll definitely build on that. And uh, one of the trailers showed Knox holding a item that definitely looks like a broken driver of some
Mm.
sort, like a handheld Henshin item where the capsum slot is broken.
Mm.
So uh, I'm sure we'll get into that. We also got a little bit of Baku's normal day-to-day life, um, and set up the idea that whatever is happening to him and his luck is proportional based on how big the help he offers.
Right.
So he helps his sister carry groceries. He steps in some
Dog shit.
dog shit.
Hopefully dog shit. They didn't
Uh,
clarify.
he helps a child um, not get kidnapped by a nefarious man of some sort of type.
That was so
He
fucked
gets
up. I'm
hit.
still
He
not over
gets
how
hit
fucked
by
up
a
that was.
car. Yeah, he gets hit by a car. In the past, it's shown that apparently he got hit by a meteorite. So, uh, what kind of help did he offer then?
Yeah, I liked
Um,
also how his sister like panicked the moment he like helped her with the grocery bag. She was like, "Oh my god, I got to get away from you because something bad's about to happen." And then he stepped in the shit. I'm curious. My big kind of question that this episode sets up, and even Baku asks himself, he's like, "Wait, can I transform in real life?" And they play very fast and loose with what is real, what is not, what is a dream, and what is not. Because I love the fact that they set up, his it's 3 a.m. and he's still awake because he's like, I'm thinking about this. Like I cannot go to sleep. And then he gets the call from Zero, and is like, "Are you shirking your responsibilities or whatever?" And then he steps through. He has the Zeztz hanger, which I thought was like a fun little bit of design for him to open the back of the door. Somehow all of his clothes disappeared from the rack. That was bizarre. I thought he was going to like go through the door by doing that, but nope, they just disappeared all of those clothes. And he enters the agency, and the design of this place is so cool. And then anytime they wanted to do anything, they had like, he strokes the cat statue's face and it causes it to wink, which has this, and then he rubs a thing and the staircase comes up and the bike walks up the stairs. I thought all of that was so fun. And then they hard cut to him dreaming now, and then he gets to go back and he jumps on the motorcycle. So I'm curious as to how much we learn and how much we see, and if in the future like he will transform in real life, and like a nightmare escapes and he's got to deal with it in the real world. Again, we have 50 episodes, right? So they'll obviously, they're setting up a lot of this to eventually answer it. But that was my biggest question coming out of it, because the other thing is that what I liked about his personality now in the dream is like, yes, primarily he is this very cool, very suave secret agent, but there were moments where it was the real him of this kind of, bumbling idiot as well. And so they'll probably play around with that a bit more, I suspect.
Yeah, and it was weird. Like, my guess is, so the driver exists in the real world.
Mm-hmm. The
and
phone exists in the real world.
the phone exists, and the transform capsule appeared in the real world as well. But I don't know. Perhaps he doesn't have access in the real world to his henshin capsules.
Yeah.
So, like, we haven't seen a physical real world version of the Physicam impact capsule, just the transform one. And if he can't use that without henching, maybe. I assume there will be a later thing, as you said, where a nightmare will escape into the real world. Probably he will fail to prevent a nightmare, and that version will transition over into the real world. And then,
They're outright teasing that in the next episode teaser. They're like, a nightmare spills into the real world. So we're probably going to get answers to these questions very, very shortly in the next episode. Maybe.
I hope so. Lads, any kind of closing remarks here? What are we excited to see? What are your thoughts about where the rest of the season is headed?
I'm looking forward to seeing some more of the forums, seeing how they differentiate, how they work. I also want to know more about the organization as a whole and Nox and how Baku fits into it, because I get feeling that he is somewhat like he was already related, and perhaps Zero is a creation of his mind. So we'll see.
Eric, yourself.
Personally, just excited to learn more about nightmares and how they work and how this whole dream thing works in general. They're still playing a little fast and loose with the rules, and trying to follow along right now has been a little more annoying than it's been fun. I know it sounds like I'm kind of soured on the show. It is a lot of fun, and I am having fun with it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for in the Kamen Rider in 2025. Honestly, like I would have been just happy with the fact that it's just a karate bug man on a motorcycle, as Mike said before. That's all Kamen Rider needs to be for me. In general, I've always been kind of jaded by modern Kamen Rider because they cake in so many toy gimmicks and ideas in that I think dilutes it from what makes the show special in the first place. Which is why, like, to this day, I'm still hoping for like a true, proper, like TV reboot of the original Kamen Rider. I doubt they'll ever do something like that, but Zeztz is getting kind of close to it. Like, the dream stuff aside, aesthetically, this very much does feel like the reboot Kamen Rider I've been wanting for. But the dream stuff is fun. I just kind of wish they did a better job explaining it. And I hope to get a proper theme song soon. And I would personally like it if they would stop dumping important information during the credits, because it feels very distracting to see like all this text while like they're saying something actually very important. It feels bizarre. It's just a bizarre choice that they're doing. I don't know if modern Kamen Rider has been doing that.
I would say it's pretty atypical for most. Like anime does it all the time. Like, if they have an extra long episode where they have to have the closing credits, usually it's like an important episode that ends on an important note. So there are these quirks of Japanese television that are infused in these shows that are just how it is done, and is a little bit different from our TV sensibilities of they blur the lines between the show and the credits and all of this all the time. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get an actual theme song. But yeah, no, I'm really high on this show personally, just because I'm used to some of these quirks, and I think that the concept and the inspirations they're drawing from are cool. I really like the characters. I thought that the two detectives, they really elevated them in my mind as what they could potentially be as side characters. I loved Baku and Tetsuya's, like, when they realized, like, oh, we're sharing dreams, like, I'm not crazy, like, we're experiencing the same thing. And Namuya, what's her name? Was I correct? Is it Namuya? It is Nasuka. just kind of being like, oh, these two idiots that I have to deal with as they were like broing out over their shared dream that they were having. So excited to have and again, like that teasing, like, you know, like Tetsuya is this comedic relief character, but he's got some dark intentions, right? He wants to blow up the police department, and kind of seeing the other side of him, a maybe more serious side. Excited for that.
I
Yeah.
no,
No, go ahead.
I'm excited. I'm excited for them to really play around with those expectations. As you said before, like they're setting up the fact that the dreams could be a plot twist. Like, oh, this person, no, it's this person who's doing this dream right now, or oh, this is what this person really wants, and it's something like really dark and unexpected of their character. I'm looking forward to them really playing around with those with that storytelling device. I think it's going to be. I'm hoping for some really good ones this season. I'm hoping to be taken by surprise as to like who's doing the dreaming or what it is that they actually want.
They'll 1000%.
My speaking of my theory on speaking of my theory on that is he doesn't actually want to bomb the police department, but he wants a threat that is straightforward and credible, because like he says during the thing, like, oh, they'll believe me, they'll like what he does now no one believes and they don't think is an actual threat, whereas a bomb, if he warns people about a bomb and then a bomb actually happens, that is a physical concrete thing he can prevent.
But he'll bring about it himself,
right, and be taken seriously because his nightmare is going to bring it about. So I think that's probably where I think that's going. I do think it's odd because normally we should have an opening in this episode, and it would feel weird to have it in the third
next episode because it's part 2.
Yeah, since it is the part 2, but I guess it'll just pop up probably at the beginning of, because Doubles, which was also a 2-parter, started its openings in episode 2. So perhaps that's what's going to happen here in episode 3. We'll get the normal, here's the preamble of the episode, here's the actual opening for the show. Like, oh my God, it's the one cop guy. What are we going to do? Here's the opening. Yeah.
Should we officially take bets as to whether or not Nazca is real or not? I think we should officially set this bet and see.
I don't know, because I definitely now thinking back on it, like, because she had a lot of physical interactions with Tetsuya, so but not some. I can't remember. I don't think she physically interacted with Baku.
They never actually exchanged words together. Her and the main character. They never actually talk to each other. That's why I brought it up, Mike, because it's like I was watching so closely the first time, and to the point where it was distracting me, and it was starting to drive me mad because I was just like, they're not talking to each other. They're not actually looking at each other, or like maybe every reaction that the main character has towards the detective, it's towards him and whatever he's doing. So it's like. It's just rare. It's just enough. It's starting to become like very painfully obvious now, even for me.
Yeah, like I feel the same way in that this could just be the writers having fun and teasing a mystery that's not a mystery. She is there, but the way that they've set things up, no one else interacts with her, and even the folks that do. The only one that, other than Tetsuya, is Baku, and Baku has special powers.
Right.
Like he's already dream related to stuff. So, like, is this a situation where she's some dream or some nightmare or something like I don't know, but it's weird, and they are. I feel like it's on purpose that they're playing it that it could go either way.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
noticed
think
it
it'll
too.
be. I don't think it'll be something as straightforward as like, oh, she's a figment of his imagination, because that takes so much agency away from a character that they're clearly setting up to be like an important part of this cast. And so I wonder if it's like maybe she's trapped in a nightmare. She's been trapped in a nightmare, and she's trying to escape, and she's manifesting herself in like Tetsuya's like mind or something, and she's not aware that she's actually like trapped in this nightmare. Because again, they're going to have to figure out ways to keep the whole how the dreams are working, how the nightmares are manifesting. Like they can't just do the same thing every week of someone has a someone has these diabolical subconscious thoughts and it's manifesting in a nightmare. They'll do something interesting with it, I suspect. So if we are being set up for she's not real, Tetsuya's imagining her, it won't be like season 6 of Dexter, where it turns out Colin Hanks is imagining the guy from Battlestar. What's his name? Who's in Battlestar Galactica? Plays the dude. And is
Oh, really? The dude in Battlestar Galactica.
The dude in Battlestar Galactica who's also in Blade Runner. Oh
I binged Battlestar in college, and like I was
God.
obsessed
He has 3 names
during that time, but I forgot.
Edward James Olmos.
Edward James Olmos. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. He was in season 6 of Dexter, and it's painfully obvious that Colin Hanks' character in that show. It's such a bad season. So hopefully we don't have that here. But I do think that if we are experiencing, if she is, there's more to her than meets the eye, it will be, something more interesting. There'll be some kind of twist. They'll eventually save her. She'll eventually be real. Maybe she becomes a writer herself, and all of that. There's so much on the table. We have so many episodes left. Okay, well, Mike, Eric, thank you so much for joining me once again to chat Tokusatsu. We'll be talking more about Zeztz episodes in the future. We'll also be returning to like kind of more broader topics as well as they pop up. We're kind of figuring it out as we all go. The most important thing is that everyone is getting their daily, weekly allotment of Tokusatsu in, because it's good for the soul, I think. Eric, where can people find you on the internet? Or maybe you don't want people to find you. Maybe it's better that we don't. No.
Yeah. Don't find me on the internet. Just leave me alone. But if you are inclined, I can be found on both Blue Sky and Twitter /X at Eric Francisco 24. You can find me on Instagram at Efrangelion. That's a Evangelion pun that I came up with using my own name. And you can find my work on Esquire.com.
Mike, what about yourself?
You can find me at Blue Sky. It's currently mhwilliams.bsky.social. I need to change that to something sometime soon that's more straightforward and fun. And then my day job is not as front-facing, so you don't need to find me. You can find me
just
on
find me in your
socials.
dreams, not in reality.
As a side note, we're recording this on September 14th. Coming up, there will be New York Comic Con in a couple weeks. So if you're going to New York Comic Con, you can say hi to me. I'll certainly be on the floor prowling around for stories and doing things like that. I might be moderating some panels, TBD. But if you want to talk Tokusatsu IRL in NYC, just hit me up there.
Yeah, go Eric and get me some of those Figure Arts exclusives, man.
Do they have some?
Man, I'm going to be buying for myself.
My name's Tom. I'm at Tom Caswell Games or TomCaswell.games on the internet. So please come and say hi, comment on the video or the podcast if you're streaming this on your favorite podcast service as we build this together. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.